and gentlemen, after weeks of speculation, and yes, we've kept you ahead right from the beginning because this is the fourth week. 4 weeks ago, here on the News Hour, we brought you information of the beginning of the assessment meetings of the Prime Minister with several cabinet ministers, and today, 4 weeks later, we're looking at a cabinet reshuffle which is unprecedented. Modi Cabinet 2.0 has taken charge today. A total of 43 old and new ministers were sworn in today as part of a mega cabinet reboot by Modi Sarkar. Prime Minister Modi now has 77 ministers in his Council of Ministers. Nearly half of them are new entrants. And yet, despite the fact that they are new, they have some sort of experience or some sort of message that they are carrying. 4 former chief ministers with administrative experience, 39 former MLAs, 8 former ministers at state levels, all of these and professionals which have made their way into the Modi cabinet. 15 leaders have been inducted into the new cabinet. That is the senior cabinet ministers, including Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, Narayan Rane and Sarbananda Sonowal. Ministers such as Anurag Thakur and Hardeep Singh Puri have been elevated to cabinet rank. 28 new ministers of state have been inducted to highlight the Rainbow Council representing India's communities and regions and doing justice to this kind of representation. The government has sent out a strong message that this is Modi's Sabki Sarkar, and those failing to perform will have to exit. Let's look at the first theme on the News Hour tonight. It's a daring move. And why do I call it a daring move? Because this is the first reshuffle of the Prime Minister since his second term in May 2019. Biggest expansion since then. 23 new faces being inducted. Expansion comes close to the upcoming polls in 6 states and 1 union territory. New cabinet is the youngest ever in India's history with an average age of 58 years. Also, it's an unprecedented strike because 43 old and new ministers have been sworn in, 12 ministers forced to quit. And that is a big message. 12 ministers have been forced to quit to make way for new faces. Perform or perish. That is the message that is going out tonight to ministers. Well, if you find me distracted, it's only because we're still awaiting the portfolios to come in and waiting for those portfolios to be stated. Well, false alarm, not the portfolios message. Also, high-profile mantris who have had to resign, beginning with Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan. Now, that's a message, and it isn't hiding anything, that the second wave of COVID did take the country by surprise. The Prime Minister not shying away from virtually admitting that. Health Minister should have performed on that front, but India and Indian citizens have paid the price with their lives in the second phase of COVID-19 flare-up, and Harshvardhan getting the boot is a big message of accountability. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad was holding multiple charges and had law, electronics and information technology and telecom with him. Now possibly time for him to go back to the party, as some others in the party like Bhupendra Singh Yadav got in a chance to be a part of the cabinet. He's been an important minister in the Modi cabinet for 7 years, but today being dropped and having to resign. Prakash Javadekar, communication of the government, perception of the government was a huge challenge for the Modi government, and Prime Minister Modi is known to have said this in several internal meetings, that communication of the work that has been done not going quite well, and therefore I think INB Minister Prakash Javadekar getting the boot. Of course, other ministries that he loses, environment, heavy industries, public enterprises, all of these going. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal also getting the boot, and this is no surprise because for 1.5 years we haven't seen our children going to school or colleges, and online education still a huge struggle after 18 months of COVID and schools and colleges being shut. Could Pokhriyal have done better? Certainly. Were people angry because children were and their education was getting a backseat in this government? Certainly. Even the new education policy that was framed, for sure, we can tell you that our sources tell us it was framed more in Home Minister Amit Shah's house, with Pokhriyal not even being present over there. Even the CBSE decisions were taken in his absence. Of course, that was on health grounds because he was admitted in AIIMS. So Pokhriyal, not quite cutting edge as far as education is concerned, and that is why he got the boot. Of course, the expansion also keeps an eye on forthcoming elections. Uttar Pradesh gets inductees. There are 7 of them in this reshuffle. Elections expected early part of next year, sometime in February or March. Also, the fact that every region from Bundelkhand to Braj to Awadh, all the regions being given importance, clearly it is something that has an eye on polls. Gujarat goes to polls next year end, 22 end, and already the BJP planning what to do. 3 inductees from Gujarat. Uttarakhand also sees 1 cabinet seat going to incumbent from Uttarakhand. Karnataka sees 4 incumbents coming in. Clearly some changes on the cards. And West Bengal, even though the BJP improved its tallies from 3 MLAs to 78, the fact that they lost to Mamata Banerjee, they have kept their eyes on West Bengal because in 2024, they're going to go for it again in the parliamentary polls. And West Bengal continues to be a top priority for the Modi Sarkar. These, ladies and gentlemen, are some of the issues, but also the fact that there are professionals, 13 lawyers, 6 doctors, 5 engineers, 7 civil servants, 7 PhDs, 3 MBAs, and 68 ministers with graduate degrees clearly shows that education, backgrounds of professionals, also an important factor. But the biggest message is that those who have been from the bottommost rungs of the society will not be ignored. 12 scheduled caste ministers, 8 scheduled tribes ministers, 27 OBC ministers in the Council of Ministers, 5 ministers from minorities, 1 Muslim, 1 Sikh, 2 Buddhists and 1 Christian. That's the message, and that is why we are calling it Modi Sabki Sarkar. That's the question and the legitimate question that we are asking you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Is this a message of Modi Sarkar's promise to government for growth? That's the question, because that is the biggest challenge India is facing, and that's the debate on the other side. Modi Sabki Sarkar, that's the hashtag and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Well, joining me tonight is Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, BJP spokesperson. Also with us tonight is Chetan Bhagat, author, Suhail Seth, corporate strategist, R. Jagannathan, senior journalist, Smita Prakash, editor of ANI, Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, also with us Shantanu Sen, leader of the Trinamool Congress. But my first question goes to Mr. Baghel, just being inducted into the Modi Sarkar. और बघेल साहब, मैं आपको बधाई देती हूं, आपने नई मंत्री पद की शपथ ली है आज शाम को, बधाई देती हूं. क्या मैसेज है आपका, और आज आपका जो ये कैबिनेट के विस्तार में आपका जो आगमन हुआ है, इसके लिए क्या मैसेज है जो प्रधानमंत्री देश को देना चाहते हैं?
जिन अपेक्षाएं, उम्मीदों, आकांक्षाओं को लेकर के दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी भाजपा और दुनिया के सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता मोदी जी ने आगरा को ये जिम्मेदारी दी है, हम अपने पूरे ईमानदारी से, कर्मठता से और मेहनत के साथ उन अपेक्षाओं पर पूरा उतरने का प्रयास करेंगे। जो आपका सवाल था कि क्या मैसेज देने का प्रयास किया, पहले ही उन्होंने कहा है सबका साथ, सबका विकास और सबका विश्वास। आज मैं आपकी कमेंट्री सुन रहा था तो आपने ही कहा है डॉक्टर्स हैं, इंजीनियर्स हैं, लॉ ग्रेजुएट हैं, पीएचडी हैं, प्रोफेसर्स हैं, सोशल वर्कर हैं, मोर देन ग्रेजुएट इतने लोग हैं। फिर ये मैं एक नया शब्द दे रहा हूँ कि पंडित दीनदयाल उपाध्याय के अंत्योदय और मानव एकात्मवाद की नींव पर यह पार्टी खड़ी हुई है। अंत्योदय का मतलब केवल अंतिम गरीब व्यक्ति को भोजन देना या उसको आवास देना या शौचालय देना या उज्ज्वला देना या आयुष्मान कार्ड देना ही नहीं है, बल्कि उन तमाम समाज के लोगों को जिन्होंने दिल्ली की सत्ता नहीं देखी थी, अंतिम पायदान पर खड़े हुए थे, ऐसे तमाम वर्ग के लोगों को भी मंत्रिपरिषद में जगह देगी। मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि मोदी जी ने एक खूबसूरत गुलदस्ता बनाया है। अच्छा गुलदस्ता वो होता है जिसमें हर रंग का फूल हो, हर किस्म का फूल हो, हर प्रकार की खुशबू का फूल हो। आज के मंत्रिपरिषद से कश्मीर से लेकर कन्याकुमारी तक और कच्छ से लेकर कामरूप तक सभी लोग महक रहे हैं।
बघेल साहब, आपको अभी तक अपना पोर्टफोलियो बताया गया है कि नहीं? क्योंकि जो आपने कहा वो बहुत सही है। प्रधानमंत्री ने एक बहुत डिटेल्ड एक्सरसाइज की है और पिछले 4 हफ्तों से वो कई स्तर पर ये एक्सरसाइज चल रही थी और डिस्कशंस चल रहे थे और वो सबसे इनपुट्स ले रहे थे इस रीशफल से पहले। पर एक चीज लोगों की अपेक्षा है कि राइट मैन फॉर द राइट जॉब, ये हुआ है कि नहीं, ये पोर्टफोलियो से पता चलता है। तो आपको कुछ बताया गया है कि आपकी जो क्षमताएं हैं उसके हिसाब से आपको पोर्टफोलियो क्या दिया जाएगा?
नहीं, ऐसा कोई कयास भी नहीं लगा रहे हैं, बल्कि मैं हमेशा ये बात कहता हूँ कि पद व्यक्ति के पास छोटा होना चाहिए और उसका कद बड़ा होना चाहिए, जिससे वो बड़े कद का व्यक्ति छोटे पद को संभाले और ज़्यादा अच्छी तरीके से काम करे और उसके लिए वो बोराई नहीं। तो इस मंत्रिपरिषद में जगह पाना ही एक बड़ी बात है। और कोई विभाग छोटा नहीं होता है, कोई विभाग बड़ा नहीं होता है। उस विभाग की योजनाओं को किस प्रकार से धरातल पर पहुंचाया जाए, वही अच्छा काम होता है।
बघेल जी, हमारे साथ शामिल होने के लिए और हमारे दर्शकों से बात करने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। हम आपको बधाई देते हैं और बेस्ट विशेस भी देते हैं कि आपको जो भी कार्यभार मिले उसमें आप लोगों की उम्मीदों पर खरे उतर सकें। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग मी. Let me open up this debate tonight and let me get in some of the non-political views on how people are seeing the reshuffle that has taken place. Of course, we don't have the portfolios yet, but Chetan Bhagat, what do you think the Prime Minister's message is when he has undertaken such a massive reshuffle? And that's why I'm calling it daring and unprecedented, because not only is it the largest ever midterm kind of a reshuffle, but the fact is that he hasn't shied away from taking the tough calls. Who has to be promoted, who has to be asked to leave the cabinet. All of those decisions have been taken with 12 ministers being dropped. It's a huge message he's trying to give to the public.
Yeah, I mean, even though it is business as usual, even though it's kind of like reshuffles happen all the time, but there's always, I think, messages. Firstly, I think the fact that it took 4 weeks from when the first news came, so that means it's a well thought of decision. I mean, it's taken a while to think through this. I think there are 2 basic messages. One is accountability, and second is trying to make the cabinet more representative. It's not very different from how in corporates these days you try to balance performance, but also making sure that diversity issues are addressed. So like, there are people from all kinds of, India is a diverse country. So having lots of diverse ministers, that may help politically also, but it's also the right thing to do. We need, many states often say especially Northeast, the states say that they are ignored. So I think having more senior people in the government from those states is a good thing. I think the other things you were mentioning is a big one, that the people who have been dropped, the 43 ministers have been added. So obviously there's been an expansion. So dropping ministers wasn't necessarily required to accommodate the new arrivals. So the fact that they've been dropped, obviously no reasons will be given that why people have been dropped. I think people can read. Maybe some of these Navika people may get party posts. I don't know whether what's your khabar on that, but maybe some of these people, because they're so senior, some of them, that it seems a bit like surprising. So maybe like some of these people will get senior party posts or not. Not cabinet posts, but like a senior general secretary or things like that. I don't know. Maybe you have some news on that. But the health minister being changed in the middle of a pandemic, I think that's a big news. That's something very big, and that goes on to show that there is accountability. And even the stuff you mentioned about communications, the fact that migrant labor was walking all over, and the labor minister has gone. There were some spats with social media companies, which were, I don't know how they were seen by the international community. So I don't know what's your inside news, but are these really drops? Are these people really dropped, or you think they may get something else, which is also in a party level post?
Of course, there are, these are party members who have worked very hard. Of course, the fact is that they will have very, very important roles to play in the party. There's no doubt about that. Prakash Javadekar has been with the party forever and ever, and has worked a lot in Maharashtra. Similarly, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad has worked a lot in Patna, has been a student leader since the days of emergency, has been part of the Jan Sangh and then the BJP. So, of course, they will have something or the other to do in the party. Dr. Harshvardhan, again, a huge karyakarta. He was the chief minister's face as far as Delhi elections are concerned. That is not the point. Of course, they will have important things to do. But, Mr. Suhail Seth, I want to ask you, the Prime Minister has done a huge exercise. It's not a tinkering exercise ke cosmetic changes hui hai, some superficial messages. This is a very, very deep exercise. It has taken 4 weeks. I don't know, of course, before that how much he thought and spoke. But since the assessment meetings of the ministers, that was 4 weeks ago that we reported on this very show. The fact is that it has been a considered view to take the people who have been taken and the matching of, as I said, most importantly, the right man for the right job, because Amit Shah gives the real direction of this in his tweet. He says this is a government for growth, cabinet for growth. Do you think the Prime Minister will have his eyes on that through this reshuffle?
Absolutely. I think it is Narendra Modi's surgical strike on his own cabinet. A surgical strike which will yield good for India, which is, I would disagree with Amit Shah saying it's a government of growth. No, I think finally the message that the Prime Minister has sent is politics is secondary to performance. Performance in a time like this, during the pandemic, when the economy is in distress because of the pandemic, these are times for people to pull out the best that there is available. Also, he has punished people for what he believes was them letting the country down in the departments that they were supposed to run. But most importantly, Navika, this is Narendra Modi's moment of truth. He has accepted the fact that there were some lacunae in the cabinet, there were some leaks or holes that needed to be plugged, and he has done that. He has done that with aplomb. What is even more noteworthy, and you mentioned it in your opening remarks about the diversity of the cabinet, of the number of people that have been taken in, the gender diversity, I would go one step forward. I think what the Prime Minister has done today is, not only is it the youngest cabinet ever in the history of independent India, what's more important, Navika, is he's selected people who marry experience with expertise. That's very important, not only for the Prime Minister. It's a very important message of hope. It signifies performance, it signifies delivery, and it signifies the promise of getting things done. Narendra Modi, to my mind, is back being the Prime Minister who's getting things done and who will make sure that his cabinet delivers to the expectations not only of the people, but to his own expectations as the leader of the government. I also believe, Navika, that this is a message to the existing members in the cabinet, that there are no permanent posts. The only thing that is permanent is if you deliver with transparency, and you deliver with swiftness. You talked about Javadekar. Good man, worked for the party. But communication was a serious issue, which I've raised on your program time and time again, saying that the good that the government did was always clouded by stray remarks. We couldn't manage, or he couldn't manage the good. It was like a ship in the night. It sails, no one sees it. I also believe that he has not fallen for the virtues of pure political play. You would have imagined, oh, because UP elections are coming up, blah, 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 will he move completely? No. He has made a distinction. And that distinction, Navika, is very important for this country to note. That the government will run on the wheels of performance. The party will run on the wheels of power. The segregation between performance and power is, to my mind, noteworthy. And for the first time, it's happened in independent India. I have often been a critic of the Prime Minister, including on your program, but I have to doff my hat today to say that I'm glad. I'm not worried about Narendra Modi 2.0, Cabinet 2.0. I'm glad he's back to doing what he does best, which is govern with sternness, with firmness, and with focus. These are the things this country needs desperately at this time.
Well, Smita Prakash, you know, as journalists, I'm sure you're as curious, and waiting for the suspense to end on the portfolios, because the devil, as they say, is always in the detail. Yes, as we've given you the main takeaways as far as the reshuffle is concerned, about the regional balance, about the representation of the vulnerable societies, about the experience, about the professionalism, the education levels. We've done all that. But really, the devil is in the detail, and the detail will be in the portfolios on, who gets what, and are they going to be able to tackle that and deliver? Because delivery is going to be the main focus after this new Council of Ministers takes over, don't you think, Smita?
Yes, I'm presuming that when such an elaborate exercise has been done to bring about a new cabinet, and I would say new cabinet, because this isn't a reshuffle, this is a complete overall, and he's come with a new team altogether. I mean, if 12 ministers are gone out of 54, that is 1 in 5 has gone. And you're talking about very important portfolios where they have been asked to resign. So, he's come with an entire new team. So I'm guessing that when he's taken people with such diverse backgrounds, whether it is caste, whether it is education, and you've mentioned the whole thing, so I won't go over it again. But when he's gone through such an elaborate exercise in choosing his team, I'm guessing it's been done in a kind of a corporate governance way, where the teams will be, the ministers, the junior ministers, they will all be given their tasks. They'll be given a time frame where it has to be achieved. Because, the thing is that it's not, I agree with Suhail to a certain point about deliverability.
Pardon me for interrupting you. A newly inducted minister, Mr. Pashupati Paswan, joining us live on the news hour. पासवान जी नमस्कार और बहुत बधाई आपको आज शपथ लेने के लिए। आपने मोदी सबकी सरकार जिसमें
पहली बात तो ये है,
हर तबके के लोग हैं, हर
नाम आप मेरा
जी बताइए।
आप सुन तो लीजिए, अरे आप पहले सुन तो लीजिए, आप मेरा नाम ही गलत ले रही हैं।
पशुपति कुमार पारस जी, नहीं गलत
पारस पासवान कर रही हैं। हाँ ठीक।
पशुपति कुमार
बोलिए।
पारस जी,
बोलिए, अब क्या प्रश्न आपका?
माफी चाहती हूँ। हाँ,
बोलिए।
प्रश्न ये है कि
नहीं, माफी
पहले
की
तो
जरूरत नहीं
बधाई
है,
देना
मैंने
चाहती हूँ
आपको
आपको।
कहा सुधार करने के लिए। चलिए, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपको भी। जी बोलिए।
पूछना चाहती हूँ आप
हेलो।
कौन सी पार्टी रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं? आप कौन सी पार्टी रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं?
लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी। लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी।
लेकिन चिराग पासवान जी कहते हैं आप उनकी पार्टी से नहीं हैं।
आपको एक बात मैं बता दूं, देश चलता है भारत के संविधान से ना। हेलो हेलो।
जी जी, मैं सुन पा रही हूँ। दर्शक,
हाँ, आवाज आ रहा है।
सारे दर्शक आपको सुन रहे हैं। आप बताइए,
देश,
आप बताइए, सब सुन रहे हैं आप।
हाँ, देश का जो संविधान है और स्वर्गीय वाजपेयी जी के समय में जो दल बदल विधेयक लोकसभा और राज्यसभा से पास होकर देश का कानून बना, उसके तहत किसी भी दल में यदि अध्यक्ष तानाशाह हो जाए तो प्रजातांत्रिक व्यवस्था में है नेतृत्व परिवर्तन की गुंजाइश है। हम लोगों ने 6 में 5 सांसद हम लोगों ने माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष जी को लिख के दिया कि हमारे दल में डेमोक्रेसी समाप्त है, तानाशाही व्यवस्था है। मैं आपसे आग्रह करने आया हूँ कि आप लोकतंत्र बाहर करते हुए नेता परिवर्तन का आदेश दें। उन्होंने उनका सचिवालय छानबीन किया, छानबीन करने के बाद उनको सही पाया गया तो उन्होंने श्री चिराग पासवान जी को नेता पद से हटा के और पशुपति कुमार पारस जी को उन्होंने संसदीय दल का नेता घोषित किया। 6 सांसदों का, नॉट 5 सांसद, 6 सांसद का नेता घोषित किया गया। तो देश का सर्वोच्च सत्ता है जहाँ 1 अरब 35 करोड़ लोग के द्वारा निर्वाचित प्रतिनिधि यहाँ आते हैं पार्लियामेंट में, उसके मुखिया हैं माननीय लोकसभा का अध्यक्ष जी। तो उनकी बात अब मानिएगा कि अब चिराग पासवान की बात मानिएगा, हमको यह बताइए।
नहीं, अगर आपको ऑथेंटिकेशन कर दिया है लोकसभा सेक्रेटेरिएट ने तो नहीं, उनका स्टेटमेंट आया है इसलिए आपका जवाब मांग रही हूं। तो अब
14 तारीख
चिराग पासवान जी का स्टेटस क्या है?
नहीं, आप जब प्रश्न पूछती है तो जानकारी आपको रखना चाहिए कि उनका स्टेटस क्या है। आप जब लोकसभा अध्यक्ष जी का रूलिंग हो गया, आपको यह जानकारी नहीं है तब क्यों प्रश्न पूछती हैं? लोकसभा अध्यक्ष का रूलिंग है कि लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी के हम 6 सांसद हैं और 6 सांसद के संसदीय दल के नेता पशुपति कुमार पारस जी हुए। देश के उन्होंने कहा कि देश पार्लियामेंट चलती है देश के संविधान से और पार्टी चलती है पार्टी के संविधान से। तो देश का संविधान ये कहता है कि 2/3 बहुमत को यदि होगा तो उसको हम मान्यता देंगे। हम तो 6 में 5 थे। फिर चिराग पासवान जी कहते हैं, चिराग पासवान जी कहने से क्या होगा? चिराग पासवान जी कोई रूलिंग नहीं दे सकते हैं जी।
चिराग पासवान जी अब लालू जी के पार्टी के करीब जा रहे हैं, बिहार में उनका सपोर्ट ले रहे हैं। तो क्या ये माना जाए कि अब लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी आपके कहे पर चलेगी, आपके इशारे पर चलेगी, या चिराग पासवान का उसमें कोई हस्तक्षेप रहेगा?
अरे चिराग पासवान जी तो अब अकेले रह गए। वो कभी राम के हनुमान होते हैं, कभी भाजपा के हनुमान होते हैं और अभी आजकल सुन रहे हैं कि यूपीए गठबंधन में जाने की बात हो रही है। क्या सत्य है क्या गलत है ये तो आपको सही बात चिराग पासवान जी ही बताएंगे। उनकी आत्मा में क्या है मैं क्यों बताने जाऊँगा। अब हमसे आप लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी के हालचाल पूछिए, मैं बता दूंगा कि लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी टूटने के कगार पर थी। मैंने उसको बचाया और पासवान जी का जो सपना था 28 नवंबर 2000 ईस्वी में पासवान जी ने लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी का गठन किया था। उनका सपना था शोषित, दलित, पिछड़ा, अति पिछड़ा, अक़लियत, ऊंची जाति के जो गरीब लोग हैं उनको समाज के मुख्य धारा में जोड़ना। पासवान जी कहते थे कि देखो बगीचा का माली वही सबसे अच्छा होता है जिस बगीचा में सभी तरह का फूल खिले, गुलाब का फूल भी खिले, अड़हुल का फूल भी खिले और गेंदा का फूल भी खिले। तो उनका ये सोच था आज वो हमारे बीच में नहीं है, लेकिन उनका जो सोच था उसको मेरा प्रयास रहेगा। मैं रामविलास पासवान तो नहीं हो सकता हूँ, लेकिन मैं उनका छोटा भाई हूँ। मैं इतना आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूँ कि मैं पासवान जी के कहे रास्ते पर मैं चलूँगा, शोषित दलित गरीब पिछड़ा की भलाई करूँगा, और जहाँ तक मुझसे बन पड़ेगा मैं बिहार की जनता और देश की जनता का सेवा करूँगा।
पारस जी, मैं सिर्फ आखिरी सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ। पासवान जी के उत्तराधिकारी अब उनके भाई पारस जी हैं या उनके बेटे चिराग पासवान?
देखिए, पासवान जी के उत्तराधिकारी पासवान जी के पुत्र हैं, पारिवारिक उत्तराधिकारी, जिसको बाप का संपत्ति पर बेटा का अधिकार होता है। लेकिन राजनीति में ऐसी बात नहीं होती है। राजनीति, हमारा देश में सबसे बड़ा प्रजातंत्र है, हिंदुस्तान सबसे बड़ा प्रजातंत्र का देश है, और यहाँ डेमोक्रेटिक सिस्टम होता है। जनता के चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि हैं यहाँ मालिक, जनता के चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि न प्रधानमंत्री हैं, लोकसभा का सदस्य है। उसमें बाप और बेटा का सवाल नहीं है। जनता जिसको चुन के भेजेगी, बहुमत जिसके पक्ष में होगा, वो ही असल उत्तराधिकारी होगा।
पारस जी, हमारे साथ और हमारे दर्शकों के साथ बात करने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपको फिर बधाई देते हैं, और आप लोगों की अपेक्षाओं पर खरे उतरें, ये शुभकामनाएं आपको देते हैं। Thank you. Coming back, Smita, another political issue being resolved here through the bringing in of Purushottam Kumar Paras, of course, with Chirag Paswan, who hadn't really gone along with the BJP and the JDU in Bihar, now having to pay the price. But Smita, beyond the politics, there is a message of substance that the Prime Minister has wanted to convey through this reshuffle. And as you said, this is not really a reshuffle. This is a new cabinet, totally new cabinet. Smita, what will be the biggest expectation and the biggest goal that the Prime Minister would be having in his mind today when he looks at his own cabinet in terms of the deliveries he has to put out for them?
Before I come to that point, I think, Navika, I'm completely gobsmacked by the interview you just conducted. Did you see his answers? I mean, he comes, this is what the grassroots level politician in India is. Look at his answer when you asked him, Uttaradhikari kaun hai? He says, in a family it is the son, but when you come to politics, it is who gets elected and who is the Rajnitik Uttaradhikari. That is who is the one who has inherited the political mantle. I mean, fabulous answer. This is what it's all about. This is why when elite journalists who are covering the reshuffle, turnaround or reshuffle or expansion or whatever say that हमको आधे लोग तो पता भी नहीं है कौन है. This is because they don't come from that same milieu. These are the real politic kind of people. That is why Modi is this rainbow cabinet of scheduled caste ministers, scheduled tribes, and 27 OBC. This rainbow cabinet which is going on repeating. And to your question as to what is going to be the goal, the Prime Minister, you see, both Prime Minister and the Home Minister, they had this agenda which was so clear when they came in 2019. It was like one after the other. They brought the Kashmir, they brought Muslim Women's Bill, they brought several points, right? It was even the CAA, and then everything got stuck, right? The CAA protests, the loss of Delhi election, then came COVID, West Bengal, COVID 2, reforms not being happening, the migrant crisis. It was one crisis after the other. So, whatever this government wanted or whatever this team wanted to bring about in 2019, the delivery has not been able to happen. So I think there'll be a clear-cut agenda, like a spreadsheet given out to this. I mean, I'm just guessing, I'm talking through my hat. I'm presuming that when such a big big exercise of making the cabinet has happened, there will be this kind of a time frame given to them and goals given to each one of them, because not just 2022 state elections,
Absolutely.
2024
and
I think is what the
new
government will have
ideas
in mind.
being put forth. We're just getting information. Sorry, Smita, bringing in more information coming in. There are 53 union ministries. However, these ministries will be handled by 30 cabinet ministers and 2 ministers of state with independent charge. Understand, 53 ministries, but only 32 ministers to handle them, which means synergies between ministries will be found out and ministers will remain same. And the example that is being given is the fact that health minister will also handle pharmaceuticals. So the health minister will look after, and that is something that we saw during COVID. You know, the health minister was looking at infrastructure, somebody else was looking at whether, medicines were available, remdesivir was available. Now, this is being brought under the health ministry, or at least the department will remain separate, but the minister will be the same, so that there will be synergies that will be looked at. So chemicals and fertilizers and health and pharmaceuticals and all of these will be under one head. That's the latest information that we are getting in terms of details of this ministries. Also, what we are hearing is that the Prime Minister has accorded top priority to the Ministry of Science and Technology. India is trying to ensure that we are among the topmost in the world when it comes to scientific innovation, particularly in COVID times. MOS PMO will be the minister in charge, and PM will actively monitor the Science and Technology Ministry. So this is a huge statement, huge importance being given to Ministry of Cooperation, with Amit Shah being made the Minister for Cooperation. So Home and Cooperation goes to Amit Shah. Same minister will look after culture, tourism and Northeast, ensuring culture and tourism in Northeast also gets a boost. These are some of the details of the cabinet reshuffle that we are getting. So Science and Technology Ministry and new innovations, so important during COVID, will stay under the Prime Minister, and there will be the PMO, MOS, who will handle that ministry, and Ministry for Cooperation, which was a new ministry that was constructed. That statement came in yesterday. This is going to be handled by Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, and Culture, Tourism, Northeast being in one. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, I want to ask you, what is the message? Cooperation as well as Home Ministry, extremely important portfolios. Bringing these two together, what is the message that this reshuffle is giving in terms of the task cut out in front of Mr. Modi and his Sarkar?
So, Navika, let me begin by congratulating all the newly inducted ministers. And as you very rightly said, that this is an expansion which is truly reflective of our, diversity in our country. And that is why representation to the SC/ST community.
One interruption, Gaurav Bhatia, only one interruption, because Health and Ministry of Chemical, Fertilizers and Pharmaceuticals going to Mr. Mansukh Mandviya. He's a member of parliament from Gujarat, but handled the crisis of shortages in medicines very, very well. Pharmaceuticals comes under him, and he was 24/7 speaking with various companies to make these medicines during COVID second wave available. So he becomes the new health minister. He's not a doctor, I understand, Gaurav Bhatia, but health ministry going to him, and also pharmaceuticals. That's a huge announcement coming in from the Prime Minister.
Navika, I'm not privy to the distribution of the portfolio, so would wait to comment. But yes, I was making my point, and I'll continue, that this cabinet expansion is a true reflection of the diversity that our country has. And from youth to women, SC/ST community, the OBC, everyone has been given participation. Even regional aspirations have been taken care of. And let me say this very proudly. This is what leadership is all about. Narendra Modi ji is such a leader who's not afraid of taking bold and big decisions. And the objective is only one, that people's welfare and their empowerment should happen. And as Smitaji was saying, that first 2 years we saw that historical decisions like Article 370, CAA, Ram Mandir construction, triple talaq were taken. And now, with the fresh energy, with fresh ideas, the new cabinet will take the governance to new heights. But what else has been achieved? There are 2-3 very important points which I wish to make. First of all, the allies. You know, there were charges that the allies are no more with the NDA. Today, JDU, LJP, as well as Apna Dal, they have found representation in the cabinet. Second, there were charges minorities, especially the Muslim appeasement kind of politics that is done. Today, this cabinet is a true reflection of how minorities would be empowered. And we have seen that members of the Sikh community, from the Islamic community, 2 ministers from the Buddhist community, as well as the Christian community are also part of the cabinet. Third, it sends out a strong message to people like Sarbananda Sonowal ji, who have worked tirelessly to build an organization, and yet, you know, he I would say was the front contender to be the chief minister. But yet, when a decision was taken by the central leadership, he stood with the party strong, and today he's been rewarded. So a strong message even for the party cadre that the party cares for you and you will be rewarded for your loyalty and hard work. And last but not the least, you know, there were charges that, you know, power is centralized. Now, today, I think by utilizing the spirit and the scope of the constitutional provisions, the cabinet has been expanded, and as many people that was possible to be accommodated have been done. So that also shows that Narendra Modi ji is the captain, but he knows how to select his team well so that he can deliver and empower the citizens of the country.
Well, let me get in Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, because this is going to sound like music to your ears. Huge focus in the coming months on women and child welfare, especially in tackling malnutrition and improving indicators like MMR and infant mortality rate. Women and child welfare to be taken up with the same intensive way that Swachh Bharat was done in the first term of the Modi government. And Smriti Irani will handle this women and child ministry, but she will also have MOS as Dr. Munjapara Mahendra Bhai, who will be the MOS, an expert in medical knowledge, and that's what he brings to the table. Ghanshyam Tiwari, do you think this is the right priority? Because Swachh Bharat was a huge campaign right from the day one, when in 2014 Mr. Modi took over as Prime Minister, and now it is going to be women and children's welfare, which is top priority.
Well, good evening. 3 things very quickly. One is that I congratulate every minister who's sworn in, new minister in the Modi cabinet. 2, I think from the messaging of it, it seems like a cabinet contraction rather than cabinet expansion, because the people who were the face of this government in communicating the agenda of this government have been booted out. And it seems that suddenly people who are brought in don't have a voice of their own, so they will really further centralization. As far as women empowerment and diversity is concerned, you can see that the 15 new cabinet ministers that this government has made, not a single one of them is a woman. In fact, of the 30 cabinet ministers this government has, there are only just 2 women, including the Prime Minister, that out of 31, there are 2 women. It is a very, very poor representation in the 21st century India. As far as the Modi Sarkar is concerned, I would take up from where Smita left. Smita said that last 2 years, this government has
Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, मुझे आप अपनी पार्टी में विमेन एम्पावरमेंट का थोड़ा सा एग्जांपल दे दीजिए. एटलीस्ट देन यू विल हैव द राइट टू फाइंड फॉल्ट विद मिस्टर मोदी. संजय झा, डू यू थिंक द समाजवादी पार्टी डज अ बेटर जॉब ऑफ विमेन एम्पावरमेंट than what Mr. Modi has done? 11 women ministers coming in. Is that a tad less for Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari?
Navika, I rather focus on what I think is the biggest message of today's cabinet expansion. And I think surprisingly, nobody seemed to mention that. And I think that is that the government has publicly and explicitly accepted the fact that the COVID was terribly mismanaged, which is why both the health ministers are out. The health ministry will now have 2 new people. I mean, I actually admire Mr. Modi's government for this candidness. This is the kind of political accountability we need in today's more democratic and transparent India that we dream of. The fact is that India today has over 30 million caseloads. Even at 45,000 cases, we are the highest affected in the world. It is only 50% of our 2020 peak. There are nearly 4 lakh people who have died. And there's an exponential number that has not been reported. Let's not even get into unemployment, inflation, and a very disrupted governance. Navika, the truth of the matter is that this government has demonstrated a lot of tall talk, a lot of big rhetoric. How many ministers do they have today, Navika, after today's expansion? 77. What does the Constitution mandate as the maximum? 81. And this is what we call as maximum governance and minimum government. In fact, it's just the opposite of the same. I want to make a very pertinent point here, that the fact of the matter is that Mr. Modi understood that the buck stops with him. The pandemic has been, in my opinion, the real game changer, because it has exposed the fact that this government's arrogance and incompetence has cost the country dear in terms of human lives, a disrupted economy, and a very worried country. And this is not just about rural India. Look at urban India today. There are a serious crisis that we face. No,
well, let me also bring in some more breaking news. Piyush Goyal will now have textiles along with commerce and industry, because textile important area, many MSMEs and industry and exports can come in through that. So it's been clubbed with commerce and industry, and he continues to have consumer affairs, food and public distribution. Ashwini Vaishnav brings with him rich administrative experience. He comes from Odisha, and he will be in charge of IT and communication. So telecom and IT goes to Mr. Vaishnav, Ashwini Vaishnav. He was formerly in the office, in the PMO of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In fact, his nomination through Rajya Sabha is something for which even Naveen Patnaik supported the BJP to get him in. Railways and IT are clubbed to ensure effective tech usage in railway for passenger safety and convenience. Railway and IT together, so IT and railways going to Ashwini Vaishnav. That's a huge one coming in. R. Jagannathan, huge one.
Is that the full railway ministry, or is it a partial? Is a MOS in that? Huh?
It says railways and IT are being clubbed to ensure effective tech usage in railway for passenger safety and convenience. And it also says Ashwini Vaishnav brings rich administrative experience, as he is assigned the important portfolio of Ministry of IT and Communications. He has also got the railway ministry. So telecom, IT, as well as railways, that is a huge one coming for Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament, who's now the new minister.
Yeah, I'm not very sure about the logic of clubbing them, except that the railways have got a lot of networks. So if all the IT cables are going to pass next to the railway networks, there may be some synergy there. But IT needs a completely different hand in terms of policy making and other things. It's not related anywhere to a public sector organization like PSUs. But I think, I don't know what the experiment is here. Our railways should always have been separated. If at all you need synergies, you should have put it under Nitin Gadkari with a Ministry of Transportation that looks at roads, railways, aviation, with one cabinet minister and 3 very strong ministers in the 3 subdivisions. Something like what you're trying in the army of theatre command. You need, that is where you will get maximum governance and minimum government. But this mix and match does not make any sense to me.
Okay, let me also put this out. Shantanu Sen, I'm sorry, but there was breaking news coming in. I'm coming last to you for a quick word, but Ministry of Education and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship have been clubbed together, and Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, who has developed a reputation for himself as someone who works very hard to deliver whatever work he is given, has been allocated these important portfolios. So Dharmendra Pradhan moves from Steel and Petroleum Ministry to get into skill development and Ministry of Education. Shantanu Sen, what do you think about this new reshuffle?
See, Navika, it's the absolute prerogative of Honorable Prime Minister. So far the distribution of ministerial berth is concerned, and it has been stated by our Party Supremo and Chief Minister of West Bengal, Madam Mamata Banerjee as well. But it's good to see that at least for one evening we all have diverted our attention from the most burning issue of the country, where the petroleum product price has become sky high. I will just conclude my speech with one query in my mind. Now we all will be waiting for the consequence of that ED probe of 300 crore scam that was accused, in which case the newly minister, the new minister Narayan Rane, who was accused in that particular case. Now we all will be waiting to see what happens to that ED probe in which Mr. Narayan Rane was involved. And there are many other ministers. You are talking about the rainbow cabinets. Yes, of course, there are some doctors, there are some engineers, and there are also some ministers who were accused of human trafficking, illegal arms dealing, and many others. And again, I repeat, we all will be waiting what happens to Mr. Narayan Rane and the ED probe to Mr. Narayan Rane.
Well, so we'll update you as soon as we get Mr. Narayan Rane's portfolio. Portfolios coming in just as a trickle as of now, but the big ones right there. Piyush Goyal gets a leg up, gets textiles along with consumer affairs, and of course commerce and industry remains with him. Railways, IT and telecom goes to Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav from Odisha. Dharmendra Pradhan, the new education minister and skill development minister. That's the new portfolios, and of course the biggest one, Cooperation Ministry, goes to Mr. Amit Shah along with his portfolio of Home Ministry. That's the way we're looking at the cabinet reshuffle. The news still coming out, but a huge message going out from the Prime Minister. This is a very daring move and a very daring cabinet expansion. We'll wait and watch how this cabinet delivers from here on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour. Taking a short break. Padmaja Joshi coming up next. Don't go anywhere.